morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. This is Safari Live and it is bitterly cold. And we're not the only ones who think so. There's a little side-striped jackal curled into the tightest little ball to try keep warm. It's about 11 degrees Celsius, 51 Fahrenheit, and for us low-felt dwellers, it's pretty chilly. So, what an exciting morning. There's not a cloud in the sky. I think we're going to have a spectacular sunrise and lots of exciting prospects for us to see today. And my name is Brent Leo Smith. I have VM, aka the Wildebeest Doornbrank, on camera. On the other vehicle, we have Jamie and Jean-Dre. And last night's sunset safari, we had Karula on a kill. After we left, her cubs came, but it was a bit too close to sunset to go back. So what I'm doing now is waiting for the sun to rise. And once it's a bit lighter, we're going to go see if she managed to keep that kill through the night. And if we can go see those wonderful little bundles of joy. So very exciting. And till then, we're going to meander around the sort of northwestern part of Djuma, seeing what we can find. And we've already found a side-striped jackal. And we'll come check on him on our way back to Karula. Now, we don't often see jackal, except for the last couple of days. We've been seeing jackal every drive. And not only side-striped, we've seen black-backed as well. And Jamie and VM yesterday actually had side-striped chasing a black-backed. So, exciting times on the jackal front. We really hope they move back a little bit more permanently. And I'm really hoping the black-backs move back because their call is one of my favorite calls in the African bush. Obviously, my impression, it leaves a lot to be desired. And it is going to be a stunning morning. And fingers crossed that there's going to be lots of stuff out here to see. Now, this week has been filled with the little critters we don't see too much, like the jackal. And this week, I think I've seen, unfortunately not all of them while we were live, but I've seen civet, honey badger, and then of course the pangolin, which was a first for the Safari Live. So now the challenge is on to find those few remaining critters that have never been seen. And I think top of the list for most of the presenters is the elusive aardvark. Now, aardvark basically translated means earth pig, and that's what they are. They're sort of pig-like. They're actually quite big animals. A male aardvark can weigh over 60 kilograms, and they eat termites and ants, but they are mostly nocturnal, generally only up and about from about, in this area, from about 10-ish in the evening till about 3, 4 in the morning. Now, them only aardvark he's seen here at Safari Live was in a tree, wasn't it, Vin?
Below a tree.
Below a tree, yes. So there was a spate during last year's winter months when Tingana, our dominant male leopard, decided he only ate aardvark. And he ate quite a few in a very short time. And the only aardvark we happened to ever see were being eaten by a leopard. So let's hopefully try find a live one. So while we continue to check this northwestern corner, let's jump back on board with Jamie so she can bid you a good morning.
Good morning and welcome to our portion of the Sunrise Safari. And it's cold enough now that we can actually breathe mist whenever we breathe out. And of course, with that update about the lions, we find, Jean-Dre and myself find ourselves heading straight towards essentially the coldest place we possibly can on this reserve, which is into the Mulwati drainage line. So thank you to all of you who sent through those updates about the lions walking around the Djuma Dam pan last night. I'm not sure whether they were lions or lionesses. You can imagine if you're a guest at the lodge, you don't want a vehicle with bright blazing lights driving right outside your room. first thing in the morning while you're trying to have your coffee before heading out. So that means that we can't go and investigate the dam right now before the other guests head out on their safaris. We're just doing a loop around the area to see if we can't follow up on them. But yes, good morning. My name is Jamie, and this morning I have Jean-Andre on camera with me as we head down into the coldest place we possibly can. And I was a child of the frosty Highveld. I was born in Johannesburg. I feel like I should have be slightly tougher when it comes to the cold. But then, of course, I wasn't traveling in an open vehicle, and right now it feels like my fingers want to drop off. So I can only imagine what poor Jean-Andre is feeling, because he actually has to use them for something more complex than just turning a steering wheel and changing gears every now and again. He's got to do the fiddly focus things. See, I'm really getting my cameraman terminology right. What we're doing at the moment is heading along Twin Dams Road, a road that runs north-south straight through the center of Djuma and parallel to its main river system, which is the Mulwati drainage line. I can tell you that the lions, from what I can see from the tracks on the road, they haven't come in this direction. And I suspect that if they were moving around last night, they are going to be very fond of using the roads of this area. The reason I say that is because it is exceptionally dewy this morning. Lions, like all cats, lions are happy enough to swim and get wet if they're chasing something around a dam or crossing a river. But they'd really rather prefer not to walk through long, damp grass. I think that they're going to be wanting to use the roads as much as possible. Apparently, I just got an update through that it was 3 lionesses and 1 male. Could it be the Nkuhumas and Junior? I would say that is relatively certain. Where have they gone? I know that you are all as keen as I am to see Junior for one last time before it really is time for him to move off. He is endangering his own life as well as the rest of the lives of the rest of the pride. He's made a very, I suppose we can't call him foolish, but he has made a very unfortunate decision to reassociate himself with the Nkuhuma pride. It is the fastest way to draw attention to himself, especially now that he is a year older and wiser than when the Birmingham boys first came through. When the Birmingham boys are now the dominant male lion coalition in this area. When the Birmingham boys first came through and disrupted the lives of the various lion prides, including the Nkuhumas, Junior was still relatively young. Junior is a young male lion from the Nkuhuma pride. He was still young enough that he seemed to be tolerated by them. There was even one sighting where he lay down about 100 meters away from the Birmingham males and just behaved submissively. He could get away with that a year ago. He is now a fully fledged adult. He's been moving about on his own, right into Kruger, down to Mala Mala. And I don't think he's going to be met with the same level of tolerance that he was last year. We've got to keep our fingers crossed that he realizes this and actually moves off. Oh my goodness, sorry, Jean-Andre. Oh, this is the coldest patch. You know how when we stop the car and we look out over the misty morning and there's always that nice big patch of mist? That's the Mulwati drainage line, and that's where we are right now. I've got my hot water bottle and we keep swapping hands so I can keep my fingers warm. Whew. And the worst thing about this, of course, is that this is not even proper winter yet. This is still us having it easy in the low 50s Fahrenheit. Tim, you were wondering what the lowest temperature it ever gets here is. The lowest it usually gets, and it's at this time of the morning, is around 0 degrees centigrade, so 32 Fahrenheit. That's just the sort of normal temperature. As soon as you factor in the wind chill from driving in an open vehicle, and it's a serious wind chill factor, you probably drop several degrees below zero, so into the high 20s Fahrenheit. No, this is nothing really. This is just us having to reacclimatize. It's actually beautiful weather. I mean, apart from this crisp, freezing cold, the climate or the temperature at the moment is really very pleasant. The days are not too hot, they're not too cold, and just thoroughly enjoyable. All right, these lines have not come south. It's now time to check to the east. I suspect they're going to be moving around north and east. That is what I would be doing if I were them, trying to stay away from the Birmingham boys, although we don't know where all of the Birmingham boys are. Oh, okay. Now we really have hit the coldest patch. And a very good morning to Anya, who is a new viewer, one of our newest viewers. And Anya, you are not wrong in the slightest. You are absolutely right. This is taking place in South Africa. We are coming to you live. So what that means is that what you're seeing is happening right here in the middle of a place called Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains Game Reserves, which are all part of the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, which has a reputation for some of the most extraordinary animal viewing in the world. And all of that is part of the Greater Kruger National Park area. So you're looking at 4 million hectares of wild area that the animals can wander about in unfenced. One of the largest, it's a bit light now for the spotlight, one of the largest conservation areas in Africa, and one of the best protected. That is where we are, right up in that northeastern corner of South Africa. And we come to you live twice a day, every day. So I'm very chuffed to hear that you have stumbled across our live stream. I'm going to focus on finding you those lions for this morning. Let's find out what Brent is up to.
So it's a little bit lighter. We've gone and done a loop past Sydney's waterhole. Not much happening there. But there's our little jackal friend. And it almost looks like it's a log out there on the sort of middle right of screen. And fast asleep, curled in a lovely little tight ball, trying to keep warm. And you can see how that jackal's camouflage works. Now, I think even a leopard walking down the road wouldn't spot that little jackal curled up in a ball. Speaking of leopards, the light is here. So we're going to go see what happened overnight at Karula's Impala kill. And very exciting. Hopefully the cubs are there. Hopefully the hyenas haven't managed to smell it out overnight and steal it. So far so good. We're on Impala Road and there are no hyena tracks yet. Now, the one negative for Karula about where that kill is and it was on the ground is the hyenas definitely do like to walk down Impala Road. So we're hoping that they were busy dealing with that remains of that buffalo carcass they stole from the Nkahumas and didn't meander too far last night. So we are bundled up against the cold, and I even have hot water bottles this morning. And I found an extra one, so the cameraman that gets to drive with me gets an extra perk. So when I'm making hot water bottles for Jamie and myself, I make a third. And it does just make this early morning that much more pleasant. Now, Jamie said she's ordered electric ones from Kirsten, because Kirsten's coming back from leave soon. And I've never heard of an electric hot water bottle, but I'm quite excited to try it. I don't know if I'm going to let go of my traditional one, though, that sits on my lap. Maybe I can have two. Oh, elephant's been putting sticks in the road again. A very good morning to Sandy in Toronto. Now, Toronto knows a lot more about being cold than we do out here. Bitterly cold in the winter months in Toronto. Now, Sandy's wondering which do I find more prolific, the sunrise or sunset safaris? Well, it all depends. Quite often, you use your sunrise safari to set up your sunset safari, specifically when it comes to the cats. So I really love the early mornings because there's a chance at fresh tracks, there's lots to follow, where the sunset can be a bit quieter. And normally you've done the tracking in the morning, or someone has, and you've got animals for the evening. Of course, that doesn't always work, but in theory. But I think for me, at the moment, I'm really enjoying the sunrise safaris. But I would even enjoy a midday safari. I love being out in the bush. Okay, so I'm looking at the road carefully. There are no hyena tracks yet. Vem was convinced that maybe the kill had been stolen, but so far so good. It's not often that I hope Vem's wrong, but this morning is one of those mornings. So the kill's just through here, or was just through there, is hopefully. So turn off my lights, don't need them anymore. So I've engaged the vehicle into low range, so that means it's in four-wheel drive, so the revs are very low. Okay, so the kill was underneath that weeping wattle over there. Just check carefully around. And of course, we got to look in the tree. She might have moved it and hoisted it. I think the most likely tree to have been hoisted was off to the left there. Now, I don't see anything just yet. I'm really hoping she managed to put it in a tree. I'm not seeing any sign of the carcass. Didn't see any drag marks coming out. Tree. There we go. I think the most likely place for her to hoist would have been off to there. This is where the kill was. So the kill was just in there. You can see there's a few fluffs of hair and some blood on the ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Jamie while I have a better look around this area to see if we can find Queen Karula Hopefully she has managed to pop it in a tree.
Fingers crossed that that kill is still around and hasn't been nicked by the hyenas. And speaking of hyenas, Jean-Andre spotted something bizarre, kind of a bit like making up what you see in the shape of the clouds. We've got what looks like a silhouette of a hyena in a marula tree. It's obviously not. Just have a look there on the left-hand fork. It looks like a hyena standing in the middle of the tree. Although, Jean-Andre, now that we've said that, it actually really doesn't. It did earlier. The light's just gone not quite right. Now it really does just look like a branch and like we've lost our minds, which we quite possibly have. Found the tracks of the lions straight east, which is kind of what I was hoping they wouldn't be going, or in the direction that they wouldn't be going. That's why I was sort of checking south first in the hope that they were going that way. That's the direction of Torchwood, which is the property of our eastern boundary, to the east of our boundary, and that is where the Nkuhuma female is denning her cubs. Now, so far, I've only seen tracks of females. I'm really hoping that that is the case. I can't show you them just yet. The light's not quite right. It'll be very tricky to show you them, and I want to just keep moving in case they're somewhere close before it gets to the point that they cross our boundary. If you are a newer viewer, or indeed a viewer that's been watching for years, please don't forget to send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@wildearth.tv and let us know. It doesn't necessarily just have to be questions. You can send us through your comments or your thoughts and opinions on what it is you are seeing. I'm just trying to age these tracks. They look beautifully fresh. Must have been from some time. I'm not sure what time the lions were on the damn camera, but these tracks look crispy fresh to me. I'll try and show you. At least we know that we were right in terms of the theory about them walking on the roads. And always using Central as a highway. Still, the light's not quite right for me to show you. Let's try a little bit further down. And a very good morning to Papa Young, who's watching in Oklahoma. You want to know why I say that it is a bad idea for Junior to have come around. And the answer is, for a couple of reasons. The Birmingham boys, the Nkuhumas have just had cubs, at least one of them has, the other is pregnant, which is automatically going to make the Birmingham boys more protective over them now. They're invested in the future of the cubs that they believe are theirs and are most likely theirs. They're going to be far more intolerant of the presence of a male. And then there's the fact that his natural instinct could well be to kill the Nkuhuma cubs, which is obviously not something that we want. And you? What's the matter? What's that all about? Little one? So early in the morning for this. Young elephant, giving us a little bit of an intimidation dance. And then pretending that it just was coming over here for that food anyway, since we haven't shown any sign of being intimidated. I was trying to age the tracks earlier and I noticed some elephant tracks over them. And I was thinking maybe that it might have been older than we thought they were. However, here's our elephants. So that may well not be the case. Ooh. That didn't look like the most comfortable food choice there. Trying to get to the softer grasses and sedges on the river system's wall. Oh, and there's some acacia there as well. Young elephants, even of this age, never quite have the coordination of the adults. Look, he's kneeling down on his left knee, on his left knee, ankle actually, if I'm honest. Their knees are actually much further up their legs than we realize. And look at those beautiful eyelashes. Hello, boy. Oh, no, sorry. Hello, girl. Young girl. They can be a little bit tricky to tell the difference between a male and a female at this age. They don't have the adult profile, so the adult head shape. And since elephants' testicles are internal, it can be surprisingly tricky, more so than you might expect. But this is a young cow. If I had to guess at an age for her, probably somewhere in the region of 7, 8, roughly. And in the middle of all of this, the lion tracks that I want to try and show you. Now that she's moved off and up onto the wall a little bit, means that we can go forward and get a little bit of a better view. The rest of the herd I can hear feeding off to the left of me. We should have a view of them as we come through this drainage line. Hello, elephant. I'm sure you know where the lions are. They must have come through here not too long ago. Right, girl. It's okay, girl. It's all right. It's okay, big girl. Our young bulls give you that display all of the time. Young females less so. So she is just telling us that she doesn't want us to come any closer. I'm not sure whether that looks like the most appetizing breakfast to me. You can see all of those thorns there. What are you calling it? Here are my binoculars. So she's feeding on a sickle bush, which has these incredibly modified branches to actually form sharp spines that are an attempt by the tree to discourage such feeding activities, but do nothing to put off an elephant. Oh, excuse me. It's the morning dust. The go-away birds are calling in a very lackluster manner, whee, which is quite often a response to predators, but I think at this time in the morning, it's just their morning dawn chorus. All of the birds are starting to wake up at the moment, and they're calling right around us. Oh, girl. Now, it's important to remember that an elephant, despite looking like a big clumsy thing, is absolutely not. And she is more than capable of navigating any place that a human being could go on 2 legs. In other words, without having to climb, an elephant can go anywhere that you can walk. It's a wonderful thing about elephants. So this drainage line wall, there you go, a display of acrobatic prowess. She's got one leg at the bottom of that steep incline and then is kneeling on the knuckle of her other leg to reach forward and get that sickle bush. Be interesting to see what she's going to do from here. Oh, we're now doing an almost headstand. It's quite an interesting approach. Fair enough. Fair enough. Just have a look at how nimble an elephant can be. She's now on her back knees with both front feet down in the dip. Wonderful. Dina was wondering whether or not this lovely young lady is a Kruger Ellie. Could be a Kruger Ellie, which might be why she's not as comfortable with us in the vehicle. Dina, absolutely that is a possibility. We're seeing more and more elephants coming in from the western side of Kruger through Torchwood and Cheetah Plains and Nkoro and across to us. And a lot of them from that section of the Kruger National Park don't encounter cars all that often. It's quite entirely possible. I also think that the smell of lions might have put her slightly on edge. I don't think it's been too long since they've come through here. It might be that why she's stressed, but I think the biggest reason is that she just wants us to know that she feels cut off from the rest of the herd. So she's the only elephant on this side of the drainage line, which is why I've been very careful about not putting us between her and the rest of the herd. She's a young female, and I don't want to frighten her or scare her in any way. And we're just going to sit here quietly because she's very kindly moving into our space, but we're going to respect that choice from her and let her move past in comfort. It's okay, big girl. All right, big girl. It's all right. All right. It's okay. You're okay. And I'm a girl. And I'm a girl. It's okay. It's all right. Here you go. Here you go. It's okay, big girl. It's all right. Now, if that had been a young male, it would have been a naughty display, trying to intimidate us. From a young female, that's not why she's doing it. She's doing it because she wants us. She wants to get to the rest of the herd. She has to go past us in order to do so because the herd moved along behind us after we stopped here. So she was comfortable enough to approach us, but at the same time she wanted us to know, hey, I'm keeping an eye on you, don't do anything. But for her, she's quite small, she's young still, so she's still feeling intimidated. And that was why she was very, very cautious, sniffing, making sure that we behaved properly, and then why she ran past at the back like that, but then stopped, just to make sure we weren't going to do anything. And a very warm welcome to Diane in Ontario, who is joining us and is wondering how close we are to the elephants. At her closest, Diane, if I'd stretched my fingers out of the vehicle, I might have been able to touch her trunk. Obviously, I'm never going to do that. The elephants, when they approach us, will come right up to the vehicle. Personally, I never let them touch it. Sometimes there are curious young ones that want to put their trunk on, or a big bull that feels comfortable enough to put their trunk on the vehicle. I always discourage that. But beyond that, the elephants are comfortable enough, if they have approached you, to go within 3 feet, 2 feet, sometimes even close enough to the bottom or to the bonnet or the hood of the vehicle. Right, our Ellie's moved off, which means we can too, to go and search for those lions. But Brent's been doing some searching of his own, so let's see what he has found.
So I've been trying to work out what happened here last night, and let's put it this way, a lot happened last night. So we found a drag mark away from the last site, but before I did that, I noticed the lion tracks. So the lions were here last night, and there's a track here, just down here on the ground, and I followed the drag mark. The lion tracks were also following the drag mark, and it looks like they might have got a lot of the carcass. On a positive note, I've had a big walk around and I can't find any dead cubs. So hopefully they managed to escape. There are also male leopard and hyena tracks here. So it seems like there was a lot going on. So I'm going to move a little bit to show you what's left of that impala. Now, from the tracks underneath that tree that Ben was showing there, I've got to be careful. There's lots of artfark holes around here. I don't want to fall into one of them. Okay, so, and it's a very peculiar tree to choose, this marula here, but you can actually even see where the barks come off from the claws, as the leopard would have climbed up there. And you can see, if we come a little bit further up the tree, you can see that's where most of the carcass was. and you can see there was some feeding happening there. But the only thing left is that leg that I can find. And I've done a proper walk around the area, and very difficult to see which way Karula and the cubs went, because if they were leaving here, they would have been leaving here at high speed. But what looks like happened is the lions managed to jump up and grab some of the carcass. So you can see there's a lot of tracks underneath here. It's quite difficult in the leaf litter, but there's bits of bone, and it looks like, well, either the hyenas or the lions, maybe the carcass was still too high for the lions. But that leg's definitely fallen into that spot there. The leopard didn't put that leg in the tree there. That's fallen from the higher branch. And it would be quite difficult for the leopard to get at that piece of meat. It's within hyena jumping range, though. Maybe the hyenas were here, and then the lions chased them, and then, oh, I don't know. It's too confusing. The tracks are literally all over the place. So we're going to stay in this area and keep checking. So I'm going to get back onto the road, see if we can find any tracks going in any direction, and let's just hope that those little cubs are safe. Okay, I'm just going to, while we move out of here, I just want to check. There's some nice little thickets and stuff. You never know what's going on. And I mean, the male leopard tracks as well could be more than likely Tingana, but definite pandemonium happened here last night. But no sign of any cat, lion, leopard, or even a hyena at the moment. And now, these type of situations happen on a daily basis out here in the bush, so it's no reason to be overly concerned. We just don't happen to be with these animals for 24 hours. So, I mean, these cubs have probably encountered lions more times than we have in the last week. Okay, so we're going to go check around this block. So while we check the tracks in this area, I've got a question from Brian Deere about the word game reserve. He says, is that a throwback from the yesteryear where it means hunting reserve? And is there still hunting on Djuma and Arathusa? There hasn't been hunting on Djuma and Arathusa for many, many years. And now the term game reserve in certain parts of Africa does mean hunting reserve. In South Africa, it tends to be the opposite, but most of the game reserves started off as hunting reserve. The oldest game reserve in Africa, in fact, is in South Africa, and it is now called Mfolozi Game Reserve, and that actually extends back to the Zulu Kings. It was the junction of the Black and White Mfolozi rivers was the private hunting area of the Zulu Kings. So that's been protected for a couple of 100 years, but now in Tanzania, the word game reserve is often still used as a hunting reserve, but and in national parks. But out here, a game reserve is a protected area for animals. Even if they might have started off as hunting reserves, they are no longer hunting reserves in this particular part of South Africa. In other parts of South Africa, there are game reserves that still do hunt, but nowhere in the Sabi Science Okay. So we're going to be focusing quite a bit on game reserves, national parks, and it is a Kruger National Park's birthday week this week. Its actual birthday is tomorrow, and it'll be 90 years old. So we are part of the greater Kruger National Park. So there's no fence between us and the Kruger National Park. So wonderful to be part of this historic and amazing area. Okay, so no tracks here, but I didn't expect there to be. I'm just sort of double checking. I really expected from where the lion tracks came from that if Kruger and the cubs did move from there, they would have gone sort of south and east or south and west, so somewhere into this block. So while we continue to check very carefully for tracks and try to figure out what happened at that carcass, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
I'm also looking very carefully for tracks, and I have found them, unfortunately with some bad news here. Looks as though, unless I'm very much mistaken, where have they gone? Are there any on this side? I'm almost inevitable that they've come through here. There we go. And there our lions go, including a male track I saw earlier. We are on the eastern boundary of Djuma, and across they go straight into Torchwood. I can see that there's, I just want to hop out, which means, hold on, I have to pop my incredibly brightly coloured hot water bottle that's been keeping me somewhat warm out of my jacket. I just want to hop out quickly and just have a look at these tracks. I want to see for myself if the male is with them. I don't know, of course. There's no way for me to know whether or not it is Junior or whether it is one of the Birmingham boys that's with them now. Most likely is that it is Junior, since he has been with them for the last 2 days. And this track here, I mean, the Nkuhuma ladies have relatively big feet, but not that big. This track here made, we've missed them by probably about 2 hours. Just looking at the track's gone into the dew and disturbed it to get the dry sand underneath. So this was after the dew settled this morning. And his track here, can you see it sort of, Jandre? Kind of. It's not the best light, but there's a male's tracks. Here's his back pad. So the 3 lobes. Here are his 4 toes. And a track this size, which is now very messy, a track this size is unfortunately not a female. Okay, well, I'm just checking that that isn't a lion. It's not a lion, it's a bush. Well, that unfortunately we cannot follow where these tracks are leading us. They're going straight across outside of our traverse area. Now, if you don't quite understand what that means or why we can't follow them, every single lodge in this area has certain places they can drive and certain places that they can't. It's one of the ways in which they keep an area from being overloaded with vehicles, making sure that they're not put under any pressure. John, can we have a look right at the back? I think it's Impala that I can see moving right at, as far as you can see on that road before it curves to the left of the termite mound. Thought I saw movement there. No. Okay. But yes, there are certain areas that we cannot go. I don't know what I saw there. It might just have been a bird moving about. And there are certain places we cannot go, and this is one of them. I haven't quite given up yet though, because the Nkuhumas quite often go onto Torchwood and then do a loop in either direction, whether they go south or whether they go north. And we'll go and we'll check Wiffelshoek Dam just in case that has happened, which is up to the north of us. And we'll just check along the eastern boundary. I doubt it. I think that they're going straight to where that female is on First Rock with her cubs. We've just got to hope at this point that either Junior's still got some familial instincts left, or that it is a Birmingham boy with the Nkuhumas. They are actually... no, they aren't. For newer viewers, an adult male lion's instinct is to kill cubs that are not his own. Now, Junior is related to the female that has had the cubs. I don't know whether she's his mother or his aunt, but she will in some way be related to him. However, he's an adult male now. He has left the pride. I'm hoping it's not an inevitability. It's not inevitable that he will seek out and try to kill those cubs. He might leave them alone. He might recognize that they are related to him in some way, and I hope that will be the case. We just don't know at this point, and we'll have to wait to find out. Hopefully one of the other guides that can go onto Torchwood will hurry along and go and find out for us. Oof, let's get up onto a crest. Oof. Chilly, chilly, chilly. Sheila, you were wondering if Junior did come upon the Nkuhuma cubs, and if he did act to kill them, would it be because they have been sired by the Birmingham boys? Yes, that would be why. It would be because he knows he is not the father of them. Now, it might seem like a really brutal system that male lions have going on, but it's a very important way of keeping the genetic stock of the lions out here fresh and as resilient as they can possibly be. So a male, when he comes into a territory, when he establishes himself or themselves in a territory, they know it's not an easy life being a male lion. They've got 2, maybe 3 years on average in which to propagate their genetic line. And what that means is that they need to kill the cubs of the previous males in order to bring the female back into estrus and get her mating with them as quickly as possible. I'm distracted by the kudu, and I'm enjoying their breakfast in this crisp morning light. And while we watch her, I just want to chat to Mike very quickly. Mike, does Nkonzo go straight across Cheetah Cut Line on Central Road? I don't know if they're going towards First Rock where that one Mafazi is. There's also tracks of one Madorda with them. So, Mike tells us that he is going on his way to check up on what's happening there. So hopefully we will have some answers to satisfy everybody's concern and curiosity as to what is happening there. There's definitely no tracks coming back out in this direction. And so we shall go on to search for other things, including Tingana, because as James Richard reminded us yesterday, it's been a month since we last saw the dominant male leopard of this area, and I feel as though that needs to be remedied. Gorgeous girls. There's plenty of time to stop and have a look at these beautiful animals. exceptionally elegant creatures. And then chirping away in the background, the fork-tailed drongos, waiting for the insects to be disturbed, although they're going to start to battle relatively soon as the insect life dies off as we go into our winter dry season. Oh, and there's another bird for us to add to the list for this morning before they're so difficult to get on camera, but they're absolutely one of my favorites. And that is the emerald spotted wood dove that we so often get pottering about in the middle of the road. It's unfortunate that the sun isn't a little bit higher so that you could see where it gets its name, the emerald spotted wood dove. Although you can sort of see, there you go, got a bit of a glimmer from those patches on its wings. Those are bright, bright green in the sunlight. Very sweet little birds with their grey heads. And I feel one of the best, most descriptive names, emerald spotted wood dove, pottering about looking for whatever seeds it can find. Now, in local culture, strangely enough, these birds are believed to be exceptionally bad luck. It's thought that you must never listen to the entirety of their call, which apparently it's them saying, "I'm sad, 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 sad." I've listened to their call plenty of times, though, and I don't think I can attribute it to any bad luck that I have had. Lots and lots of superstitions around the different birds of this area. In the dove family, unlike in other parts of the world, it's actually a symbol of conflict rather than a symbol of peace. In local African culture, they are the birds of war, almost. And then, of course, the lilac-breasted roller being the symbol of peace in this particular part of the world, despite the fact that actually lilac-breasted rollers can be very aggressive when they want to be. And they're not afraid to mob birds of prey twice their size. Yes, this is one of the shyest and most harmless, inoffensive of bird species, and is yet considered to be bad luck. Not as much, however, as a bird called a hammerkop. Now, a hammerkop, or a hammerhead, literally translated into English, the bird that we see around water and is absolutely considered to be bad luck. And if one flies over your house here, it means that it's going to be struck by lightning and that you have to go and find certain trees, including the magic worry tree, and put it over your door frame in order to prevent that from occurring. You can make of that what you will. Poor hammerkop also claiming a somewhat undeserved reputation. And good morning to you, Edmund. We had a long discussion yesterday about the various raptors of the park and which ones are the most efficient at hunting, and I said that I couldn't begin to guess or to even answer which would be the most successful hunters. But you wanted to know what are the largest and what are the smallest raptors in the Kruger National Park. The largest, hands down, as a bird of prey, is the Martial eagle. The Martial eagle is absolutely enormous, well over 6 feet in terms of wingspan. Very big, very heavy, bulky eagle. There are also exceptionally large vulture species. Things like the lappet-faced vulture also have very, very large wingspans, as do... Sorry, I'm just listening to updates on the Game Drive channel. As do the Cape vultures of the area. But Cape vultures and lappet-faced vultures not really considered to be birds of prey specifically. They very, very seldom hunt. And then the smallest, there's a couple of them. Pygmy falcon is very, very tiny. The black-shouldered kite is also exceptionally tiny. I have forgotten my bird book at home once again. I was busy double checking something yesterday. I'm sure that Brent, if asked or if he has a moment, will be able to show you a picture. In the meantime, let's find out how his search is going.
So, we've been busy deciphering a puzzle here, and I've literally had to get right down on the ground to do it. But it's looking like very good news. So over here, there is Karula's track. And over here, it looks to be the little male's track, about half the size of Mom. And then over here, even smaller, the little female track. There's two of them there. So Karula, and looks like both babies have come down here, so they've managed to survive whatever pandemonium happened at that carcass last night. These tracks look really nice and fresh, so maybe we'll have some leopard luck yet this morning. But very good to know. Of course, with tracks like this, it's quite difficult, but I'm 95% confident that we've got all three here, and all three must have survived whatever happened at that carcass last night. So we're going to stick on the tracks. They are heading south, and I'm hoping she got towards the area around Treehouse Dam and decided to stop there. Now, it was very confusing because there's tracks of both the cubs and her going in both directions. And I think the other tracks of her fetching the cubs and taking them to the carcass, whereas these ones are definitely fresh. It took me about 5 or 6 minutes looking for a very specific track, and it's the track on top of the other track, so just to get the right direction, because both these sets of tracks look really nice and fresh. So they're all 12 hours or younger old. They're the other tracks coming up this way, but on the one side. So there's tracks coming this way on the one side, and we're following the tracks going that way on the other. So sometimes it's a bit of a puzzle out here, and you've got to work it out. And I just need to and female leopards with, oh dear, no, still going. Now all of a sudden I saw tracks going the other way, and I was like, oh, which one's a which? Gonzo one Satiingwe and Tumampimpan heading south on from the Balanites tree onto Zoe's Road, following up. Okay, so if I'm not looking back at you guys, I do apologize, but I am trying to keep my eye on the road. We don't want to lose these tracks. And isn't this beautiful? Early winter's morning, fresh leopard tracks, not even just leopard tracks, leopard and cub tracks, sun peeping up over the eastern horizon, and hopefully not too long we'll have some luck with the queen and cubs. So if you've just joined and might have missed yesterday's sunset safari, Karula was on an impala carcass, and during the night lions and hyenas came there, and she's obviously abandoned. There is a little bit of meat left in the tree, but she's abandoned that area, obviously deciding it's a bit unsafe for her offspring with all those other predators around. Oh dear. Oh, no, they're still going this way here. Now, I'm hoping she just didn't decide, I'm going back south. I'm out of here. There's too many other predators around. So I'm hoping she hasn't gone all the way back across our southern boundary, which is about 1 kilometer from here. Fingers crossed. So apologies, there seems to be gremlins in both Jamie and my streams today. So we're just going to go to the dam cam for about 5 or 6 minutes while our tech team tries to sort it out. And I'm going to keep on these leopard tracks, so hopefully when we get back, we'll have a leopard for you.